So supporter Todd Robertson asks how many language families like Indo-European there are, and whether there are any currently spoken or extinct but well-documented languages that seem not to be part of a language family, sort of standalone orphans. As far as how many language families like Indo-European there are, I don't think that you would be able to find linguists who actually agree on a number. I suspect that it's more than 50. The last time that I did make sort of an effort to count them, I know that the number was well above 50. But it's also difficult to count because, of course, there's disagreements, especially with very poorly documented language families, about whether they might actually be part of a larger language family or not. And then some language families are controversial from the get-go because the connections between languages that are supposed to be in that family are so thin that they might actually not be genetic connections at all, but rather just uh, areal effects. Languages that are spoken in proximity to one another often start influencing each other, and so some of these supposed language families might just be the result of that influence because they don't have the kind of consistent correspondences between sounds and grammar structures that you see in a family like Indo-European. An example of a family like that is Altaic. This is often supposed to contain the Turkic languages, the Tungusic languages, and the Mongolic languages. These languages have certain similarities in the way that they build the verb, for instance. They have similar pronouns and things like that, but there's not a consistent set of correspondences that shows exactly how these would be genetically related. So sometimes they are spoken of as Altaic, but this may just be kind of an abstraction. These languages share these features, but they may not actually share a common ancestor. Or the common ancestor they share may be so far in the past that it just can't be reconstructed. As far as standalone languages that have not been connected to another language family, there are many. Of course, human nature being what human nature is and the internet being what it is, basically the less certain the way that a language is related to other languages, the more speculation there's been. So I'm going to mention a few of these, and no doubt there will be people who will hate that I say these languages haven't been demonstrated to be connected to something else because they have some pet theory about it. But linguists don't accept a connection of the following languages to other languages. Basque, the language spoken in the mountains of northern Spain and southern France, is not Indo-European and has never been definitively linked to any other language on Earth. It is quite probable that Basque is the last surviving member of the languages that were spoken in Europe before the Indo-European languages came in. Sumerian, the very first written language at all, as far as we know, has never been conclusively linked to another language. Elamite, the second or third language ever written that we know about, has never been definitively linked to another language, although it may be connected to the Dravidian languages of India. Zuni in the American Southwest has never been linked to another language conclusively. And what else could I throw on there? Those are sort of the big ones. And of course, in the past, we see languages that are so poorly attested that we actually can't definitively say what they're connected to at all, or even if we're looking at one cohesive language. An example of that is the debate over Pictish in Britain. There are some inscriptions that seem to be, quote, Pictish that actually look pretty close to Welsh. There are some inscriptions that have been called Pictish that seem to be in something else entirely. Is this one language, was there a cohesive Pictish language? Was it Celtic and related to Welsh? These are questions that are hard to answer when you have very little written material.